Wilkesboro Speedway. It's only fitting that 3 years later, the track is hosting one of the biggest nights in late model stock car action in quite some time. Welcome to the Window World 100 on Fox Sports 1. A lot of build-up and anticipation for this very moment. All-Star Weekend, we got an All-Star booth with us. NASCAR Hall of Famer Dale Earnhardt Jr., NASCAR Cup Series champion Kevin Harvick, and I'm Eric Brennan. It's a privilege to be with you on what has been a highly anticipated event since its announcement not that long ago. And Kevin, everyone has said, everyone we've talked to, all they could think about is the spotlight they're in right now.
Well, they know that the lights are on bright, and they are here to put on a show on national TV for the first time. And these drivers have mentioned it in their interviews. They've talked about it to their sponsors. They've talked about getting sponsors to be on their car that they haven't had the opportunity to do before. So the importance of this race is compared to like running the Daytona 500 for late model stock. So I can't wait to see what unfolds, and so excited for the whole series.
We got a competitive field too, and a big points battle going on at the top. 3 drivers separated by 5 points. Connor Hall comes in leading the points in the number 88. He'll start 17th tonight. Landon Lewis in second points, and the number 29 is on the pole. Cade Brown, who's third in points, will start 23rd. So Landon Lewis in a really good spot as we approach the midpoint of the season to bust this thing wide open.
Only 2 drivers in the top 10 in championship points qualified in the top 10 for this race. Storylines are aplenty all the way throughout this field, with the green flag not too far away. There's a lot to look forward to as we inch closer to the start of this race and this event. And as a matter of fact, gentlemen, we've really had a lot of help in getting this race underway at North Wilkesboro Speedway. So much efforts and so much logistics to make this possible. And it's brought us here to this moment where we're clearing the front straightaway. We're getting everybody set up and ready to go. The cars are going to be fired up not too far from now. And there is or two in what is a really tough series. Matter of fact, let's not take our word for it. Let's hear from some drivers who race on a national scale.
The level of competition with the Cars Tour is out of this world, to be honest. I think I'm more and more impressed by the depth of the fields of cars.
Not many divisions where there's 20 cars that can win every week, except the Cars Tour.
The Cars Tour Series competition is so hard. I mean, I look at the competition almost equivalent to the NASCAR Truck Series that I race in today.
I know when I ran it a couple years ago, it was really tough, and I would imagine it's just as tough, if not tougher, than it was then.
And that's coming from a driver who's trying to make his second Indianapolis 500 over the course of this weekend. We mentioned the importance of this racetrack at North Wilkesboro Speedway. One of the men behind everything that has gone on to make this event possible is standing by with another member of our broadcast team, Caitlin Vinci.
Thank you, Eric. Well, Marcus Smith, instrumental in making all of this happen. The late model stocks are part of North Wilkesboro's DNA, I would say. How special is it to see this all come together?
It's amazing. I mean, I remember being at the track when we had the first race here just a few years ago after kind of the revival. And it was that revival race that caused us to realize that we could bring it back. And so, without the NASCAR fans, the fans of all motorsport coming together to say, we would love to see North Wilkesboro back on the calendar. And then, of course, without just the families and all the teams involved in racing, to have the ZMAX Cars Tour here this weekend as part of the NASCAR All-Star Race is amazing. Huge thanks to Kevin and Dale for the support. Love having them in the booth tonight to be able to bring this show to everybody at home.
Why do you think it's important to focus in on the short track community and have them perform on stages like this?
I think racing just kind of feeds off of the top level, the cup level, down to the grassroots level. And it goes back and forth. You think about so many of the drivers today that started in Legends and Bandoleros, and now they're winning NASCAR Cup championships. It's all just part of that ecosystem of family and friends and racing coast to coast, and it's really cool to see that.
Thanks so much for all you've done, Marcus Smith, a big part of the event here today. Now let's check in with another member of our pit road team and say hello to Blake McCandless.
Thank you, Caitlin. And standing by here with Brendan Butterbean Queen, the defending champion of the ZMAX Cars Tour from 2024. Brendan, you're a great example of somebody who's taken a leap from the Cars Tour and gone on into the ARCA Menard Series. You already have 2 wins early on in this year. When you reflect on your time in the Cars Tour, what were you able to learn over the last 2 years that you've been able to apply in your climb up the ladder?
Yeah, the Cars Tour, first off, I'm thankful for the opportunity I had here, and I'm a late model guy at heart and always will be, but I just think of the stuff I learned, the racecraft you learned, that's prepared me for the bigger opportunities. And of course, I'm wishing I was racing here tonight. I know how big of a deal this is to be on Fox Sports, and this race essentially changed my life. So somebody's life could really change riding that lift tonight, and I'll forever be grateful of this series. And anytime I can come back and run, I definitely want to.
Brendan Butterbean Queen said 20 drivers can win every single night. He's the champion. Let's see who follows suit in 2025.
That's a good person to give us an idea of what we're about to see. He's rode the elevator before. We're going to fire the engines for the ZMAX Cars Tour when we come back to North Wilkesboro.
Want an easy way to help take care of your vehicle? ZMAX Micro Lubricant. ZMAX Micro Lubricant is a DIY solution that pours into your fuel and oil. ZMAX proprietary molecules are uniquely small, so they literally soak into the metal, dispersing harmful carbon deposits. This improves horsepower, extends engine life, and reduces emissions. ZMAX is good for your car, your wallet, and the environment. Can be used in new or used vehicles. Available at zmax.com or your local auto parts store.
Hendrick.
It's the perfect time to find an affordable vehicle. Visit HendrickCars.com and shop our large selection, including over 1,000 vehicles priced under 20 grand. Plus, drive today but pay later with our payment deferral and 0 down options. Buy from the name you know and trust. Hendrick has received over 650,000 5-star online reviews. Over 1,000 vehicles under 20 grand. Find yours at HendrickCars.com.
Lessen the noise of the track, not the rush of the race. With Sound Gear, hearing protection solutions that lap the competition. Perfect for racers, crew, fans, or anyone who works or plays in loud places. To order your Sound Gear product today, visit soundgear.com or visit our flagship store in Mooresville, North Carolina.
36 of the best late model stock drivers in the country have converged to the North Wilkesboro Speedway for what is their biggest race of the year. Let's take a look at how this race is going to unfold. 100 laps in length. Pit road speed and pace speed will be 35 miles an hour. We can expect the competition caution on or around lap 25. That'll give the opportunity for all the Cup Series teams and drivers, if they choose to vacate the infield, to do so then. But I got a pretty good feeling they're going to be sticking around to watch how this one unfolds. The 6th race of 2025 for the late model stock cars at the Z-Max Cars Tour. The beautiful field assembled on the front straightaway. Only thing left to do is fire the engines. Let's go trackside to get the command.
2 big days to follow, Saturday and Sunday.
Truck racing, open, all-star race.
Heats.
Heats, that's right, the competitive heats.
And now, let's welcome these executives from event sponsor Window World for the greatest words in racing.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
We waited long enough for this one. We figured we'd make everyone wait just a little bit longer. The engines have fired. The cars have come to life. Green flag coming up next.
Want an easy way to help take care of your vehicle? Z-Max Micro Lubricant. Z-Max Micro Lubricant is a DIY solution that pours into your fuel and oil. Z-Max proprietary molecules are uniquely small, so they literally soak into the metal, dispersing harmful carbon deposits. This improves horsepower, extends engine life, and reduces emissions. Z-Max is good for your car, your wallet, and the environment. Can be used in new or used vehicles. Available at zmax.com or your local auto parts store.
BSCI is a family business that has been proudly supporting the racing community for over 35 years, spanning 3 generations. At BSCI, we specialize in safety components and foam innovation, offering a range of services that include seat inserts, headrests, roll bar padding, 3D scanning, CNC machining, and CAD design. BSCI is located in the heart of Race City, USA in Mooresville, North Carolina, and is a proud partner of the Cars Tour.
Cars beginning to roll off for their parade and pace laps for the 6th race of the 2025 Z-Max Cars Tour presented by Sound Gear Season. And we are so happy to be bringing you this premier short track program on Fox Sports 1 for the very first time. Qualifying took place yesterday, just before the Pro Late Model portion of the weekend program, and a familiar name was able to lay claim to the pole position. Let's take a look at our Window World 100 starting lineup, 36 cars strong. Landon Lewis, fresh off his win at Ace Speedway, alongside Lady Bites, first female ever to lead laps in a late model stock car last time out at Ace Speedway. A driver trying to go 2 for 2 on the Cars Tour events. Caden Honeycutt's going to roll off third, alongside of Huntington Beach, California's Jake Bowman in the 71B. Carson Lofton's run here before, but only in a modified. First time a late model stock car, he'll start 5th, alongside two-time champion Carson Quapple. Tristan McKee and Minnie Tyrell, winner on the season, are going to make up row number 4. In row 5, you will find Minnie Tyrell and Andrew Brady. They make up your top 10 finishers. Tate Fogelman, the 8 car, is going to start inside of Jonathan Schaefer in his return to late model stock car competition. He'll be in the 12 car. Donovan Strauss is off to a hot start in his rookie campaign alongside Corey LaJoy in what is his first late model stock start since 2010. In row number 8, Buddy Isles Jr. in the 11 car is going to line up from Littleton, North Carolina in 15th. And King William, Virginia's Chase Burrow in the 00 will start 16th. Connor Hall, the championship points leader, has got some work to do. He'll start 17th alongside of Landon S. Huffman of the Pinnacle Racing Group, 28. Rounding out our top 20, Ryan Millington in the family-owned number 15, and Aaron Doug Barnes Jr. in the 88B. Connor Jones is our most recent late model stock winner in the 44 car. He'll line up in 21st, trying to go back-to-back. And Sam Butler returns in Jimmy Moran Racing number 14. Cade Brown is in the top 3 in points. He'll start back in 23rd alongside Michael Bumgarner, who's got a limited late model win here. He starts 24th. Mason Diaz came off a pole position at Ace last time out. He'll roll off from 25th spot alongside of Camden Gully to his outside. Making his 99th career Cars Tour late model stock start, Brandon Pierce rolls off 27th with Ronnie Bassett Jr. in the family-owned 04 to his outside. Riley Gentry and Daniel Silvestri take you through our first 15 rows, and Landon Huffman up towards the top 5 in points, starting back in 31st with Alex Meggs alongside. Rest of the field sees Parker Eatman, Ryan Wilson, then Dylan Wilson and Dustin Storm, the final cars to make it in on time.
Well, you did a great job there, Eric, rolling through the starting lineup. And now we get to the part that we've all been waiting for. These late model stock cars here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. We know the history. We know everything that this racetrack and this series has been through together. Now we get to see the race, Dale.
Yeah, these drivers, they're on edge too, in front of a big stage here on Fox Sports 1. They all know how important this is to have a great night. They want to finish on top and ride that elevator in that infield to victory lane.
And a lot of fans have come out here to North Wilkesboro Speedway tonight. So glad you could be joining us on Fox Sports 1. Time to introduce you to the Z-Max Car Store presented by Sound Gear. Landon Lewis in the 29 brings us down by the start, and the Window World 100 is underway.
Yeah, and we've seen this top groove be the preferred lane as you see Laney Bice into the of Landon Lewis right there. Make a little
clean restart though as we dive down into turn 3. Lewis clear for the lead, battle for second. Bowman to the outside of Bice down the front straightaway. Bowman with the preferred groove off into turn 1.
Oh no! Bice gets into the side of Jake Bowman, and they're both up into the wall. And Bowman may have caught Caden Quapple as he came back down the racetrack with several cars involved.
A lot of stack up there behind them. Several cars trying to miss the wreck. End up in the fence, getting into turn 1. These drivers haven't raced on this track since the Xfinity or the Cup cars have ran here. They put a ton of rubber down, changing the balance in the field of these cars, and the drivers are firing off in there for the first time under real speed.
Yeah, and the track conditions have definitely changed since the last time that these guys were in their car. And I think that accident right there, as we go under yellow and red, to let these drivers get cleaned up here in turn 1. But what happened right here, it just looks like the 71 tried to make a nice arc in there, and Laney was just a little bit straight getting into the corner. I don't know. It looked to me like the 71 just kind of turned down and two cars met.
Well, yeah, honestly, it's probably the first time that these cars have raced side by side down into turn 1. You know, there's a lot of different grooves and ways to get down that corner. You're going downhill. It is a loose entry for pretty much any kind of car that races on this racetrack. You see Laney get a little free, just scared to turn the steering wheel because the car is trying to back around on her.
Several cars involved in this early incident after the race for second went sour going into turn 1. Cleanup continues. We'll be back right after this.
Hendrick. It's the perfect time to find an affordable vehicle. Visit HendrickCars.com and shop our large selection, including over 1,000 vehicles priced under 20 grand. Plus, drive today but pay later with our payment deferral and 0 down options. Buy from the name you know and trust. Hendrick has received over 650,000 5-star online reviews. Over 1,000 vehicles under 20 grand. Find yours at HendrickCars.com.
Every weekend, it seems like we're at a racetrack somewhere. So we're living it, we're doing it. I think it helps us relate whenever they call. If they need more grip or they need more turn, we do it all the time.
We can relate to what they're saying. We're not just there to sell them this or that.
We're representing not just us, we're representing our vendors, our customers, our employees. So it's important to let them know that you care.
We want to provide the best things so they can have the best experience at the racetrack. That's what we want with our race car too.
Not the return to the cars tour that Sam Butler was hoping for, as he is unable to make it beyond the first lap after a multi-car crash, with fighting for position as high up as second. Started to get turned sideways. The rest of the pack barreling in on what is the largest and fastest track this tour visits. So many drivers were unable to avoid. Let's take another look at how it all went down in turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, and I think right here what you're going to see is you're going to see the 03 and the 71 going in the corner. You go through a really flat section right there that makes the car want to get loose, and it looks like Laney just wasn't able to turn her car. As you see her get loose off of turn 4 as they go into turn 1 right here. 71 goes to arc in the corner, and they just kind of meet where she hasn't really turned into the corner yet.
Yeah, she's yet to really steer the car down into the corner, and again, it's a downhill entry. You're carrying a ton of speed off of turn 4. That is much quicker than they went through this corner on the initial start. So she just doesn't turn the steering wheel. You see the stack up behind, cars sent into the wall. A lot of damage.
See the 04 there of Ronnie Bassett get the right rear corner of his car. He's one of our championship contenders. And this is what we talked about, is you see the contact on the entry to turn 1 right there. Again, the back of the car hop up on the wall, and then you see the stack up right behind. You see that 04 car slide right through the pack right there. He's one of our championship contenders, and that is what we talked about yesterday. When you qualify bad, you risk the things that can happen at the beginning of the race when these cars are all bunched together.
One guy lucky to get through that, Corey LaJoy in the 12, spun around middle of the track, but no damage, able to carry on. And I think our points battle remains tight, as Kate Brown and Connor Hall both escaped damage there.
Cleanup continues in turns 1 and 2. Several drivers already out of their race cars. We'll try to regroup and come back for the restart at North Wilkesboro. We've had 5 races already for late model stock cars. The season kicked off for Connor Hall getting the win at New River All-American Speedway. Then at the Bull Ring, Minnie Tyrell got his 2nd career win in race 2. First trip to the Peach State, Connor Hall bagged another one at Cordele, Georgia. And former champion Jared Fryer in his part-time stint got a victory at Orange County. And as we mentioned, our pole sitter tonight, Landon Lewis, our most recent victor at Ace Speedway, with everyone now vying for that trip up the elevator here at North Wilkesboro. Let's go down to Blake McCandless.
Standing by here with Lanny Bice. And Lanny, first of all, are you okay? And second of all, what happened there?
Yeah, I'm okay, thank goodness. Thankful for these cars and how safe they are. Yeah, I honestly am not quite sure exactly what happened. Me and the 71 got into each other, racing pretty hard right there. So super sorry for this Folsom Finn Supply Lead Pulling Performance team and all the hard work they put in for this weekend. I mean, we should be in victory lane tonight for sure. So I definitely just need to do a better job next time, but super duper thankful for all the hard work that goes into this weekend.
And early into the night for Lanny Bice.
Thanks, Blake. And that is a driver I'm sure we're going to see running up front as we see some drivers who are able to make the best of the circumstance.
Yeah, you see Ronnie Bassett Jr. right there in the 04 car. As we talked, he's one of our top 5 point contenders right there. Got that car repaired back out on the racetrack, so could have some points implications in gaining those points as he goes towards the end of the year.
Yeah, there's a few cars that come back out on the racetrack after being involved in that accident, able to repair those cars. Bassett's had damage in a lot of races this year, but fought hard to be able to put his car back on the racetrack and get the results, and that's why he's in the top 5 of the point system coming into this race.
And that's something that we've seen before, even here at North Wilkesboro Speedway. Connor Hall had a comeback of his own here last August after being involved in quite the stack-up. 15 cars in total involved in that crash, and it does shake up the running order here a little bit with 1 lap in the books. Landon Lewis is going to elect the top side with last night's Pro Late Model winner, Caden Honeycutt, in the 5. Carson Lofton, the Nelson Motorsports 22, picks the bottom of row 2. And that 32 car, full-time NASCAR Xfinity Series driver Carson Quapple, making his return to a late model stock car. And we spoke to him earlier yesterday, and he said he was really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, the 32 car is one that they keep at their family home, and he actually went to Tri-County last weekend to run this car and won the feature there, so good speed in this 32.
Set to get the Window World 100 back underway. Landon Lewis selects the top side again. Caden Honeycutt down low. Back through the iRacing restart zone. Lewis brings us back down to green. And he gets a superb launch at the start-finish line.
Yeah, we see a good launch there for that 29. As we've gone through the day today with the Cup cars on the racetrack, we've seen this groove spread out all over the racetrack. But that rubber from those cars is still on the track, so it'll take these cars a little bit to wear that off. And we know we've got a caution coming around lap 25.
Caden Honeycutt fighting hard on the inside there. Carson Quapple's going to try to clear him off of turn 2, side by side down the back straightaway. Lofton behind him looking for a way to go. Landon Lewis stretching out that lead.
Yeah, you see Caden Honeycutt down there.
A couple cars up the racetrack in the middle of 3 and 4. Looks like everybody gets through unscathed.
I believe that was Jonathan Schaefer who got knocked up out of line. We keep it going and stay under green.
Yeah, you see that 5 car of Caden Honeycutt right there on the bottom of the racetrack. Last night's Pro Late Model winner here in the Cars Tour. Be in several of the races this weekend in the Truck Series after this for the rest of the weekend. So fun to see Caden here.
Oh, he gets loose, both cars. Loose, one into the wall. Carson Quapple backs the 32 car into the wall there down in turn 1 and 2. It's so hard to make passes on the inside here. We saw those cars fighting hard. Caden Honeycutt on the inside just pushed it a little bit too hard down into turn 1 again. We talk about that loose entry. Be able to fight that car, you got to be able to chase it up the racetrack. But he drives it up into his competitor here and spins around the 32.
Yeah, and on this new asphalt, when I drove the late model stock here last year in August, that looseness, and you're going to see exactly what we're talking about right here from the 5 car. You drive in the corner, and you don't think that it's an aerodynamic track, but you're going to see this 5 car get loose right there, getting in the corner, and the 32 car has no idea, and the 5 into his door and the 32 into the wall.
Oh, how about the job by Carson Lofton to get that car slowed down before getting into the back of the 5 or T-boning Quapple as he spun up the racetrack broadside.
Yeah, I thought Honeycutt was lucky as well to be able to get out of here as unscathed as he was, but the 32 car, it's going to be a rear clip for that group. But just getting down into the corner, you could see the back of the 5 step out as he lifts, starts to apply a little bit of brake down into turn 1. There's nothing he can do. Once you lose the back of the car, you got to chase it up the racetrack, and unfortunate ending.
Second verse, unfortunately, same as the first. Caution number 2, the approach to turn 1 claims Carson Quapple for the runner-up spot. We'll be back to the Window World 100 right after this. Across the decade-long history of the Cars Tour, there have been so many notable winners and names that now compete on the national level on a weekly basis. And this list is surely to grow, and it has been so much fun to watch all of these racers move on up and continue to excel in their respective careers. Welcome back to the Window World 100 under our second caution after another incident while battling for second in turn number 1. And gentlemen, we were talking a little bit off camera. Caden Honeycutt was able to come out of that relatively unscathed, but the Cars Tour does have a hardworking group of officials that diligently look back at each and every incident. And I would imagine that the realm of responsibility is going to fall on that 5 car. Even if he could rejoin the race, we'll likely see him have to drop to the back.
Yeah, that's a rule that we've had for quite some time. Jack Manali had that rule in the series, and we love it. it's tough to make that judgment call, but it does, it does tend to lead to some cleaner racing because the drivers know there's a repercussion for spinning out or taking out another competitor. You talked about the winners, the past winners. We've had a lot of drivers that have competed in this series in recent years. William Byron, and we saw Kyle Larson in the earlier clip. Ryan Newman raced with us this year as well at Orange County. Ryan Newman's run modifieds, and you know how hard he was to pass back in the day, Kevin. He gets out of the car pouring sweat and said it was the most intense racing he's done in a long, long time. So proud to have every one of those guys come join us and see what this tour is all about. And they're going to see kind of what this racing's all about as we get this field going. Only 4 laps into this race.
One of the cars involved in our most recent caution, 2-time champion Carson Quapple. Caitlin Vincey's down there with an update.
Yeah, Eric, obviously so much anticipation going into Carson here at North Wilkesboro. As a former champion, former winner of this race, just checked in with the team saying they have right rear quarter panel damage. Also, the deck lid is shot, so they have been working very meticulously and thoroughly on the back of that, trying to salvage something for that 32 machine. Blake?
And also an update on the number 1 of Andrew Grady. You guys, I think, in the booth remember vividly when we caught up with him yesterday, he had a really great quote when it talked about running the outside in qualifying. He said, you got to go into 1 and 2 about 3 inches from Jesus to be able to make speed at that end of the racetrack. They've had a long discussion under this caution period where they have re-emphasized that as well. They've talked a lot about being able to choose on the outside lane how many rows they're willing to give up, but don't give up on that one car. He's made up about 10 spots already in the very early portion of this race.
Kevin, is that what you had to do last year?
Well, you definitely, as we've seen turn 1, it's very treacherous, and you want to drive in there straight, and you want to let that car run up the racetrack. But these guys are starting to talk about that outside lane, and you heard it right there, talking about how many lanes will you give up. So that's a decision that you're going to have to make on the restart, seeing how these lanes have cycled at the beginning of this run, knowing that if you get stuck on the bottom, you're going to be, how many spots are you going to lose?
And we've talked about also at the top of the show, the points battle. Connor Hall starting back in 17th positions, worked his way up into the top 10 through all the attrition in the front of the field. And also Cade Brown in the 4 car has improved 10 positions from 23rd all the way up to 13th. So both of those drivers dodging all of the chaos out on the racetrack, and that's why they're in this points battle, because they do this every single week, very consistent.
In this race's short history, the furthest back a winner has ever come to win here was Connor Jones from 5th last October. Right now, we have only 2 drivers who started in the top 5, still running up in the top 5. Your race leader, Landon Lewis, and Carson Lofton in the 22. Everyone else starting to float up towards the front. We might set a new record for the furthest back someone has come to win this race at this racetrack.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. And when you're talking about Connor Hall, I mean, he's a 2-time national champion on the NASCAR late model stock side. Great team with Dale's team. So it doesn't surprise me with his experience and the experience of the team that he's able to position himself just by dodging the carnage to put himself back up in the front of the pack.
Looking up at the front row there, Landon Lewis has chosen that outside again, predictably. Tristan McKee, though, very young driver, now positioned on that front row on the inside. And there you see also Minnie Tyrell in the 81. Very fast on these type of racetracks. He loves the newer asphalt, high grip racetracks. That 81's been really fast, so working their way toward the front. But Tristan McKee there on that inside line, that's the driver I'm going to be paying attention to. We've had some, I wouldn't say mistakes, but we've had some issues getting down into the corner. And now he's forcing himself on that inside line. Can he hold the car as they force the car down into turn 1 on these starts?
Well, you definitely, we hope that this thing gets into a little bit of a rhythm right here. And we saw the first crash, and the second crash was much different than the first one after they got spread out. So a lot of hard racing in the middle of the pack. We'll see these guys launch off and fire into turn 1, but we know that outside is going to be the dominant groove. So Tristan's job on the inside is, okay, how do I get fired off at the restart line to be able to lose as little ground as possible, try to maintain as much as you can through turns 1 and 2, and then try to make some ground up in 3 and 4.
Tristan has a pro late model win here, came last August. He was driving for the Setzer Racing and Development Team, looking for his first win ever in the Cars Tour in a late model stock car. 5 laps in the books, still got 96 laps to go. Landon Lewis, the pole sitter, elects the outside again with McKee on the bottom as they come through the iRacing restart zone, and we'll try it again as we're back underway at North Wilkesboro.
See McKee do a pretty good job on the bottom of that racetrack, right up against the door of that 29 car. Now he's going to have a much better time through turns 3 and 4 as the momentum is really kept in 1 and 2. But Landon does a great job on the top of the track as you see the back of that car slide out.
Down into turn 1, McKee slides in behind the 29. Lewis with the momentum off of turn 2, just about clears. A little contact right there.
McKee's going to look back to the inside, and Lewis is going to let him have the bottom. Got a smoker in the back, Dustin Storm. He gets off to the pit lane. We stay under green. McKee can't get alongside Lewis there. He'll try it again in turn 1.
And that's what I really love about this racetrack, Dale. We talk about that new asphalt, but the way that it is aging and the way that it allows these guys to move around the racetrack is just going to keep continuing to create better and better racing.
Right there, great battle for 4th place. Connor Hall trying to work around the 22 of Lofton down into turn 1. A little bit of smoke out of that 88. That's traditional in some of these late model stock cars. Contact right there. Connor racing, battling with the car he drove last year. That Nelson Motorsports number 22.
Oh, hold the track again. They bounce off each other off 4.
And that's normal here in the Cars Tour. These cars are pretty durable. You see a little bit of tire smoke now out of that 88 car. You can bang on them pretty good side to side.
Andrew Grady in the 1 car just behind him. He had a great run going at Ace our last time out until a late mechanical effort when he was turning some of the fastest laps in the race. Behind him, Tate Fogelman in the 8 and Donovan Strauss in the 4.
Donovan to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to battle up off of turn 2. Fogelman, a lot of momentum down the back straightaway, being able to carry that speed.
And these cars, it is all about the momentum. You want to be able to just barely touch the brake, roll back to partial throttle, and it's all about getting these cars back into the throttle and to carry that momentum up off the corner. But right there you see both of those cars are able to race side by side.
Tate Fogelman, a son of a very famous race car driver. The Fogelman name has been around late model stock racing for decades. I raced against his dad back in the 90s.
Let's look at more on Tate Fogelman from Blake.
Guys, I spoke with Tate Fogelman yesterday before qualifying, and Tate Fogelman was very confident in this race car. It's a brand new Reynolds Racing chassis that he ran at Orange County a couple of weeks ago, in which he started in the back of the field and drove up to the top 10. But he was so proud of the effort that he and his crew made to get this car out here. It's just him and his dad that work on this car after they get home from work throughout the week, and these are the type of tracks that he said he loves. Speed, high grip, no doubt that you'll see Tate Fogelman at the front of the field, and he's proven that right now for the former Craftsman Truck Series winner.
Had a great run going at Orange County before being swept up in a crash or running in the top 10. Great rebound effort so far. Here's your top 3 in Lewis, McKee, and Minnie Tyrell. For more on race leader Landon Lewis, let's go to Caitlin.
Yeah, Eric, obviously most recent race winner out at Ace, and pretty much picked up right where he left off. I had a chance to talk with him. He mentioned Rodney Childers and the influence that former Cup Series champion has had on his program. He said he kind of operates as a partial crew chief, a shop leader, kind of jack of all trades. But Landon also told me he made a call to our own guy, Kevin Harvick, to ask him for some advice on how to qualify better, because he had identified that was a weak area of the team. But he said, Kevin, I never would have imagined I could have made a phone call to him 4 years ago, and he said you've been extremely helpful to his career.
Well, that's fun. And, you know, I think as you look at this battle with Connor Hall and Lofton again right here, these guys have been going at it lap after lap after lap, doing a great job of giving each other space, but racing hard.
Yeah, Connor's just a little bit quicker, but it's so hard to make that pass on the bottom, and it's kind of what's, you know, North Wilkesboro is starting to become known for. You might be able to fight your way to the inside of the car in front of you. Looks like Lofton's going to give him a little bit of speed here, a little bit of space, but he battles back, evens it up at the start-finish line down into turn 1.
And for Carson Lofton, his career has not been a traditional trajectory to get to late model stock cars. His only other starts in this racetrack were either in a 602 crate modified or a tour type modified. This is the first time he's ever raced here with fenders, and he's been very impressive with a race team that has won multiple championships with Bobby McCarty in the past, and he's doing a tremendous job fending off a driver who comes into this race as the points leader.
As these two battle, Tate Fogelman starting to close ground on both of them back in 6th.
Yeah, and I think Lofton's car is definitely loose, and Connor is being held up. And I think the more and more this battle goes on, I say the less and less patient Connor will be, and I think that front bumper will probably be a little more useful. That's usually the way that it goes in these late model stock cars.
Here comes Hall again, trying to make the inside work as things run right now. Whoa, that's a big slide by Hall off of 4.
When I race these cars here, that was pretty normal. You have to be in a 4-wheel slide off of turn 4. They're so much fun to drive. And you see the slide right here by Connor on the inside of the racetrack. And that's just him knowing that he's got too much speed and he needed to keep that car pinned down. And that's the hard part about finishing that pass.
Yeah, the Hoosier Bi-Sply tire has a ton of forgiveness, a big window. You see all of these cars through the corner really yawed out, sliding the right rear of the car. Really a lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to do actually out on the racetrack, and really impressed by this 22 of Lofton, running the higher line in 3 and 4, moving that groove up the racetrack and finding a way to keep Hall behind him.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you see some of those sparks flying out of the 22 car. And here we go. This is what we talked about. As the patience gets thinner, the gaps in the leeway between the 88 car and the 22 will become less and less, but they're both being pretty hard on that right rear tire.
And Lofton continues to fend off the challenge. Hall continues to run 5th. One of the reasons why Connor Hall wants to make this move, they've lost about 2+ seconds to Mini Tyrell, who holds 3rd.
We have a competition yellow coming up soon. Let these drivers kind of reset, cool down. They'll be able to come to pit road and make adjustments on their cars. And
a lot of them knew, sorry Dale, a lot of them knew that this caution was coming out. So be able to make some adjustments as you see Mini Tyrell put some pressure on Tristan McKee right here.
And one of the reasons why this pass may be so important, if he can get it done, it's going to be tough. The choose option, and with lane choice being so important here, Tyrell may want the first pick if he decides to line up alongside of Landon Lewis or behind him with a restart upcoming after that yellow. It's a battle back for 7th as the caution flag is going to fly. That's the biggest mover in the field right now. That 41 of Mason Diaz up 18 spots up in the 7th position, was alongside of Connor Jones as the caution flies.
We revived this racetrack back in 22 when I raced here with a Sundrop car and finished 3rd. Mason ran 2nd. A quality driver, a lot of talent. Not surprised to see that car drive through the field.
Saw Mason earlier today. So he's been spending a lot of time at the family business, the sign shop. But every time he comes out with a race car, tonight the Hedgecock Racing house car, he's quick. Caution is out. It's the competition yellow. 25 laps in the books. Landon Lewis has led them all. We'll be back to North Wilkesboro after this.